So the KAMBOSAS versus LOPEZ fight is just finished, and we got a new champion. Obviously, George KAMBOSAS managed to beat TEOFIMO LOPEZ on a split decision win, and in my opinion, it's probably the fight of the year. I mean, both fighters have managed to get knocked down a piece, and on top of that, it's very competitive. Both fighters were going back and forth with each other. Obviously, KAMBOSAS managed to get the knockdown in the first round, and TEOFIMO LOPEZ managed to get it in the 10th round. But I think there was no robbery here. I mean, KAMBOSAS was the clear winner. I mean, he managed to actually outclass him, and in the first round, he managed to land the right hand and drop him. The fight was very back and forth. Both fighters were going at it, and they're both landing combinations. Ironically, before he got dropped in the first round, LOPEZ was actually landing. He looked like he kind of opened up, and the commentators actually mentioned this. But LOPEZ, he got knocked down. I think in his first fight as a professional. But then he managed to knock his opponent out in the second round, or knock them down in the second round. So I think with LOPEZ has got a bit of a weakness where he does get knocked down in the first round, and I think the reason for that is to do with the fact that he doesn't warm up properly. With fighters that get knocked down in the first round, it takes them a round or two to get back into the fight where they're fully alert. What you're supposed to do is warm up before you even step into the ring. Obviously he's warmed up, but he's not warmed up properly to the point where he's 100% ready for war. I mean, if you look at like Mike Tyson and fighters like Gerald McClellan, before they used to get into the ring, they were drenched full of sweat. It's almost like they had a full workout before they even had their first fight. And the reason why they're full of sweat is because they're burning their energy warming up, and obviously they're sweating, the nerves, all of that. But for some reason, LOPEZ, one weakness he has is when he goes into the ring for the first round, he does seem to be a bit cold in the sense that he's not fully warmed up, and he's not fully in the fight in terms of mentally as well. So I think opponents, obviously in his first fight or early in his career, he got dropped by a right hand, and I think obviously he came back out and he managed to knock the person out. But I think it's a weakness that he has, and obviously KAMBOSAS exploited it in the first round. He managed to drop him. The rest of the fight was very back and forth. KAMBOSAS showed his skill. He showed his ability to move around the ring. And I think the sparring that he done with Manny Pacquiao really helped, because TEOFIMO LOPEZ, I believe he's southpaw, and obviously he hits really hard, and obviously Pacquiao is a similar type of fighter. So all them sparring sessions that he had with Pacquiao definitely helped. In my opinion, the fight was very competitive, and going into the second half of the fight, both fighters were bleeding from their eye. Obviously, TEOFIMO LOPEZ was the one that came off looking the worst. One thing about the fight was that TEOFIMO LOPEZ's dad was giving him, I think he was giving him wrong instructions in the corner. In my opinion, he was telling him that he was ahead when really, in reality, he was behind. I think that probably played into the reason why TEOFIMO LOPEZ felt like he got robbed at the end of the fight, because obviously his dad's telling him not what he wants to hear, but he's telling him that he's doing better than he actually is. And obviously fighters have the mentality when they start throwing punches, they only focus on what they're landing. They're not focusing on what their opponent is landing. So a lot of times fighters feel like they've been robbed in a fight when really they're the one that's lost. You need to watch the tape back before you can argue about it, because it could be likely that you're not thinking about what the other fighters landed. But yeah, I'm very happy for KAMBOSAS. About a year ago, KAMBOSAS was, I wouldn't say he's a complete nobody, but nobody really knew him within the boxing landscape, and now he's managed to come out of obscurity and managed to get a very high level win. So yeah, it's going to be fun to see where his career goes from now. This, I think, is a definitely fight of the year candidate. A lot of people thought that LOPEZ was going to knock out KAMBOSAS in the first round, but I had a feeling that was going to happen. And I had a feeling that KAMBOSAS was going to be a banana skin for LOPEZ. I was saying it pre-fight, all the schedules, I was saying it like, I think he's going to be a bit of a banana skin. He's going to be a bit of a problem for him. And if he's not 100% focused, there's a very good chance that he can lose. And that's exactly what's happened now. I mean, I think LOPEZ was not 100% focused on KAMBOSAS. He was probably thinking about Lomachenko and all of his other rivals within the lightweight division. But I'm kind of glad that the lightweight division now has another person who's added to the mix. Obviously, you got Ryan Garcia, You got Teofimo Lopez. You got George Kambosas, but you also got Devin Haney. Kambosas was talking about fighting Devin Haney next, which is interesting to say the least. I think he wants to unify the division before he actually goes ahead. So yeah, in my opinion, it's definitely an interesting time in the division. It's ironic. Everyone in the division call themselves the Four Kings. Obviously, Gervonta Davis, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, and Ryan Garcia. But the Four Kings, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler, and Thomas Hearns, fought each other 11 times. These Four Kings in our current era have not even fought each other once. So, I mean, I think it's a bit premature calling them the Four Kings yet. Obviously, these are four fighters that have got a lot of talent, and they seem like they've got a bright future ahead of them. But I think it's a bit early to call them that. Honestly speaking, until they've actually fought each other, you can't really give them labels like that. But yeah, that's just my opinion on this fight. I think Teofimo Lopez somewhat underestimated Kambosas, and obviously Kambosas took advantage of that. To be fair, I think a lot of people underestimate Kambosas. He's a very good fighter. When I saw him fight Lee Selby, and I had a feeling he was going to be a bit of a banana skin for Teofimo Lopez. But obviously pre-fight, I picked Teofimo Lopez to win. But I did say that I think if Kambosas was a banana skin for him, I wouldn't be too surprised. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Kambosas managed to beat him. So yeah, I think it's a definite fight of the year candidate. It's there's not been that many great fights this year, so I think it's definitely up there as one of the best fights of the year for a very long time. And I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch. I think it was so competitive. Both of them got knocked down a piece. Obviously, Kambosas clearly won, but it wasn't a complete whitewash. It was quite competitive. Teofimo Lopez had plenty of his own moments. But yeah, it's ironic now because Lomachenko didn't put a rematch clause for his fight against Teofimo Lopez. He couldn't secure a rematch, and now the boot's on the other foot because Kambosas is in a position where Teofimo Lopez didn't put a rematch clause for that fight. So Kambosas can now put the middle finger up at Lopez if he wants to, just like Lopez did it to Lomachenko. But it's the sad, cruel irony of life. You never know when your situation can change. 1 minute you're on top, the next minute you're at the end of the gutter. There's only one step from the limo to the gutter. I mean, you can be on top of the world 1 minute, and then the next minute you don't know what's hit you, and things are just not quite the same. And I think that's what's happened with Teofimo Lopez. History is replete with fighters that have achieved great things, but then they fall off the first time they get an obstacle. I mean, it happened with obviously famously Buster Douglas. After he beat Mike Tyson, he fought Evander Holyfield, and he was just not the same fighter. But yeah, it's just life. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. But like, Kambosas might have always beaten Teofimo Lopez. It might have been just one of them things, like stylistically he might have had it for him. But I think Kambosas to some not Kambosas, I think Lopez to some extent did take Teofimo Lopez lightly. He didn't think he was as good as he thought, as he actually was. But to be fair, a lot of people did. A lot of people didn't think Kambosas was going to be that good. But I'm glad that he managed to prove a lot of people wrong. But yeah, that's just my analysis of the fight. Tell me your thoughts below about what happened, and like and subscribe to the channel. I've got